I'm a really big fan of Richie Faulkner's guitar playing. His style has all the elements of good, solid heavy metal with the right mix of chops, melodic sensibility, and feel. When I hear him play, I can totally pick out the markers of his musical lineage. Hendrix, Schenker, Tipton, Murray, Rhoads, Zach, but it never sounds like he's trying to emulate any of those guys. He's got his own distinctive sound and style. And this is what sets him apart as one of the greats of the current generation of heavy metal guitar heroes. So just recently, I was learning his solo to Gates of Hell from the latest Priest album, Invincible Shield, and I noticed that there are a lot of his signature techniques in there. So I thought it might be a good one to break down to give you guys a little insight into his playing style. And let me tell you that if you're a lead guitarist, there are a few things that Richie does in this solo that I think you absolutely need to learn. Because they're the kind of things that aren't obvious to most players, but they make all the difference when it comes to playing solos that fans will actually want to rock out to. So this isn't going to be a step-by-step, put your finger here and pick this note and pull off that note kind of tutorial. This one is more about trying to understand the solo beyond the notes, which, by the way, you can get in the form of tabs on my website, licksofthebeast.com. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by playing the entire solo for you, and then I'll talk a little bit about those signature techniques and key elements that make this solo so awesome. And before we get into it, for those of you who might be watching for the first time, welcome to Licks of the Beast. I'm Nico, and this is a place where you can get all of your daily dose of heavy metal guitar goodness, from gear talk to tutorials and explanations of why the music you love is so awesome. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the really cool videos we have coming up. So as I like to do, let's start by taking a quick look at the rhythm guitar part so that we know exactly what it is that we're soloing over. Now this is crucial when studying a solo because the chord progression and the rhythm in a way will inspire the melodic motifs and determine the type of licks, phrasing style, target notes, etc. So in this case, it's a 4-bar pattern in the key of F sharp minor that repeats 4 times. And by the way, I'm tuned down a half step just like Richie is on the album. So the chords here are F sharp, E over G sharp to A, D to E, C sharp over A to D, and then you have this tail to turn it back around. So this is a very straightforward, simple, open rhythm section that leaves room for both fast runs and more melodic lines. And the interval jump from the A to the D and E chords allow for some interesting melodic motifs. Richie's note choice is based mostly on the minor hexatonic scale. So this is basically a pentatonic with an added major second. And it's a great scale to use for heavy rock soloing because it's got those very nice pentatonic intervals, which are a little wider than, say, a natural minor scale. But with the inclusion of the major second, you can create a bit more melodic tension whenever you want to. So the solo starts off with a very straightforward ascending run into a bluesy kind of lick and ending on a nice long bend to create tension right from the get-go. As he releases the bend, he goes into a descending run that sounds really smooth, especially because of the way he combines pick notes and pull-offs. Now this is something Randy Rhoads would often do, and in fact, this run has very Rhoads-esque phrasing. So from here, he just reverses direction and ascends back up the same notes again in a similar pattern, only in reverse. And now he introduces this motif. So this is a great example of how to use that extra note in the hexatonic scale, as I mentioned earlier. So that was the first section of the solo. Now the next section starts with a very similar ascending pattern, just like the one he did before. Now what's cool about this is it gives the solo a sense of flow and continuity, but at the same time, the fact that he picks up again with a run that is similar but different creates tension because you don't know where he's taking you. So this flurry of notes is a bit like a roller coaster, and that's where he ends up here. So yes, that's the same lick as he used to close the first section. Only he allowed the half-step bend to release before descending down the scale again, this time in a more staggered manner. And this is a compositional technique that Richie will sometimes use when he reiterates a lick, an idea, or a pattern multiple times in a solo so that it creates a sense of familiarity. And this can make a solo exceptionally catchy because the listener's ear will latch on to that point of reference, especially if it's a bit of a longer solo. Now, from here, we make a quick change to the bridge pickup for that last part to get an edgier, more aggressive tone. Now, the way I like to do this is, as I'm ending that descending run, I pick the first of the 3 notes on the A string, and then from there, I'll just slide down the next 2 notes and hammer on the last note, the F sharp, at the 14th fret of the E string. And that leaves my right hand free to hit the pickup selector switch. So basically like this. The third section starts with a very basic but always effective rock motif, played first in F sharp and then a 4th lower in C sharp. Now the reason you'd want to do something like this here is simply that up until this point, the solo has been so busy with one flurry after another. And even though the repetition keeps it grounded so that the listener remains connected, Richie is still giving you a lot to take in. Now even for me, when I was first learning this solo, it was a little overwhelming. So let's just say it felt like a bit of a relief when I got to this basic pentatonic rock lick. It's important to give your listeners something easy to digest after you've hit them with some fast and intense shredding. And this is the kind of thing you can learn by studying the solos of a pro like Richie Faulkner. So, from the second iteration of that pentatonic motif, he continues into this ascending pattern, which is mostly in thirds. Now you could play this kind of thing in a number of ways. It doesn't have to be so diagonal. It could be as simple as just this. But by extending it diagonally across the fretboard with that slightly staggered articulation you get from the continuous slides, Richie is creating tension and a feeling that the solo is about to reach its apex. Except Mr. Faulkner's got another little trick up his sleeve because that was a false finish. After the 4 repetitions of the 4-bar rhythm pattern, there are 4 extra bars with ringing chords that ascend from C sharp to D to E. And then the solo continues into the chorus, which is first played instrumental before Rob comes in again. So here's where I think the solo goes from awesome to legendary. Now remember how he was building tension with the slides? Well, instead of resolving it and giving us a payoff, he raises the tension even more by playing the next lick in harmonic minor, with that very prominent major 7th. And then he delivers a massive payoff with this very exhilarating lick which starts off legato and goes into fast picking and then into a melodic finale which paraphrases the vocal melody of the chorus. Just at the very end, he throws in that motif one last time just to make sure that it stays stuck in your head forever. So there you have it, guys. That's the solo to Gates of Hell. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if there are any other solos or songs that you'd like me to break down for you in the future. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more licks of the beast.